For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a skein and a quarter of Lion Brand's Pound of Love in the color aquamarine. As for tools, a 6 and a 9mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There's a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Watch the end of the video to learn how to enter this week's giveaway. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they will be as follows: chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this dress started, we are first going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that goes from our underarm down to right underneath our bust. So I'm going to start off by making a chain that comes out to 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters, or that comes out to about 12 chains. Now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and from here we're going to go into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, with a single crochet. And what we're going to do from here is go into that next one. Together we're going to insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and put 1 single crochet into every chain that we have, going all the way down, meeting back at the last one, because we're going to do an increase of 2. So we just made it down to the end of our first row, and just into this last chain we're going to go in with an increase of 2 single crochets. So into that last chain we're going to go in with 1, and then into that same stitch we're going to go in with 2. And once when we have this, we will be inserting our stitch marker or scrap piece of yarn, whatever we have, just into the side. It doesn't quite matter what loop we're going into, just so we know that this is now the top. And what we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1 and flip our work. And into this top portion, the side that we just inserted our stitch marker into, this is going to have an increase into every row that we have, but going along the bottom we're only going to be increasing into every third. So let's just get this next row started. Since we're working on row 2, we're going to start off with an increase of 2 singles. There's 1, and into that same stitch there's 2, and we're going to work our way all the way down, putting 1 single into every stitch. Our next row is going to be our third row, so that row we're going to be increasing on both ends. So I'll meet you guys back once we're ready to get started on our third, so we can just do that and then we can move on together. We've just made our way all the way down with our row number 2 of our single crochets, and we are going to get started on our third together, and we are at the bottom. But it doesn't matter, because when we're going into our third row, we're going to be increasing into both ends. So just to start this off, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then into this first stitch there is 1 single, and then 2 single, and then from here we're going to put 1 single into every stitch, and then since we are at the end we're going to maintain putting an increase of 2 into this last stitch. And we're just going to keep doing this until this portion that we have right here reaches from the side of our body over to the front of our body. So I'm actually going to keep going until I have a total of 9 rows. Just remember that into the bottom portion we're going to be increasing into every third. And when we meet each other back, we all want to make sure that we end along the top portion so that we can go in with our shoulder portion right after that. But I'll meet you guys back once we have this little chunk finished up. Alright, so we are back with our little underarm portion, and from here what we're going to do, since we should have all ended at the top, we're going to make a chain that shoots straight up to our shoulder. And I have already measured mine out, and I just need a chain of about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, or from here that's going to be a total of 8 chains. And now that we have our chain, we are going to block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, go in with a single crochet. And then from here we're going to work our way all the way down until we get to the end. And since we are at the body portion, we're actually going to start doing increases along the bottom into every other row instead of into every third, like how we were doing for this underarm portion. So the last row that I did right here was an increase row. Let's place my stitch marker in there so we can tell. So the next row I'm going to go in with is going to be a row of just single crochets going all the way down, and then into the row after that is going to be our increase row. And I'm just going to keep alternating like that along the bottom while maintaining a blunt end along the top until I get to about 1.5 inches away from the middle of our neck, because then we're going to have to go in with our prep work for our corset detail. And going in with these rows, I will meet you guys back once when we have the length that we need and we are along the bottom so that we can go in with our detail right after that. So I will keep doing that, going back and forth until I have that all finished up, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can go in with that. So we are back and we have just made our way all the way over down to where we want our detail portion to be for our corset. And just to let you guys know, I ended up having a total of 22 rows, or that comes out to a total of 5 inches or 13 centimeters. And once when we have reached this spot, we all should have ended at the bottom. And then once we're here, we can put this up to ourselves and then figure out the length that we want our corset detail to be. Now this is just going to be a little detail that hangs over from where we're currently at. Our corset detail can be as high or as low as we want. So I'm just going to start off by making a chain of 6, or that comes out to about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. And now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a single crochet. And we're just going to make our way all the way down, putting 1 single crochet into every stitch. And then once we make our way up here, we're going to meet each other back because we're going to have to do just a little bit of prep work for our corset. So we have just finished up going in with our first row when it comes to our corset detail. And once when we work our way back down, we are going to need to be inserting our stitch marker into where we want our corset detail to stop. So from the bottom all the way up to where I have inserted my stitch marker, I have a total of 15 stitches. And just make sure that when you guys are inserting your stitch marker, make sure that it's an odd number. But other than that, we're going to single crochet back down, and then from here we're going to go in with back loop single crochets. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our single crochets until we hit our stitch marker. And what we're going to do from here is go in with back loop single crochets. So into this first back loop, we will be inserting our hook and single crochet just like normal. And we're just doing this for this row so that we can get these loops along this side so that we have something to connect to when it comes to our corset. But right after this, we're actually not going to be doing anything fancy. So we're just going to do a chain up of 1 and then single crochet back, and we're just going to keep doing that until we get a portion that is wide enough to 1, fit our corset ties, and then also just to the size that we like. So from here, I'm going to keep going back and forth with rows of single crochets with no increases or decreases, and then I'll meet you guys back at the bottom of our work so that we can go in with our last row of front loop single crochets and then in with our underarm detail from there. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up going in with our middle detail portion. And just so that you guys know, from where we started all the way down to where I'm meeting you guys back up at, I have a total of 34 rows. And we did meet along the bottom so that we can go in with our front loop single crochets now so that we can match these loops and then regular single crochets going up. And then we can work our way down with our underarm portion that we have on this side. So let's just get this part started off with. From here, we're going to go in with front loop single crochets for the same amount of stitches that we went into when it comes to our back loop single crochets along this side. So from here, I'm going to do a chain up of 1, flip my work, and then into this first front loop, we're going to insert our hook and single crochet. And along the other side, I did a total of 15 back loop single crochets, so I'm going to do a total of 15 front loop single crochets, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. So we are back and we have just finished up going in with our last row when it comes to doing our corset detail section. And from here, what we're going to do is basically the same thing that we did over here, but instead of increases, we're going to go in with decreases along this side. So what we're first going to do is insert our stitch marker into the same amount of stitches as we made chains along this side. So if you guys are doing the same pattern as me, I made a chain out of 6. So from here, I counted up 6 and then inserted my stitch marker. And from here, the row that I had right before we went in with this detail section was a row of just regular single crochets, no increases or decreases. So for my pattern, I'm going to do a row of single crochets going all the way down to my stitch marker, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do our decrease with each other. But if your last row was an increase row, go ahead and decrease into here as well. Just make sure that we are basically mirroring everything that we have on this side. So we are back and we have just single crocheted all the way down until the point we had our stitch marker. I did take mine out, but this is where it was. And then from here, we're just going to do a decrease together. So just to show you guys how to do a decrease, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and flip. And into the first available stitch, we will be inserting our hook, yarn over, pull through. Into the next, insert, yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 stitches on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And for this section, we're just going to go all the way up, putting 1 single crochet into every stitch. Do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then bring it on back down. And just as a refresher, from this point all the way up until we have our little shoulder portion that we made for ourselves over here, we're going to be decreasing into every other row. And then once when we hit this portion, we'll meet each other back so that we can do the underarm portion, which is decreasing into every row when it comes to the top portion, and then decreasing into every third when it comes to the bottom. So I'll meet you guys back once we have this section figured out. So we are back and we have just finished up going in with our shoulder portion. It should match the shoulder portion that we have over here. And once when we have this, we are ready to go in with the underarm portion. I am going to let you guys just have at it, but I just wanted to remind you guys that when we're going in with our first row, when it comes to doing our shoulder portion right here, we're going to be inserting our stitch marker into the stitch that we have that counts down as the same amount of chains as we made. So I ended up having a chain up of 8 over here. So I'm going to count down a total of 8 stitches, insert my stitch marker, and then just do the same amount of decreases that we have on this side when we were doing our increases on this side. And then I'll meet you guys back once we have this entire panel all finished up. Alright, so we are back and we have actually just finished up going in with the entirety of our front panel. And next we're going to go in with the back panel. And the back is actually the exact same as what we just did. So same increases, same decreases. But instead of going in with single crochets, we are going to be going in with back loop slip stitches so that we can have just a little bit more stretch to it. So we're just going to start off the first few rows. I'm going to show you guys how to do an increase and a decrease, and then I'll let you guys move on from there. So like I said in the previous clip, everything is going to be exactly the same, and since this is with slip stitches, it might look like it's shrunken up, but as long as you guys have the same stitch counts, we're good. So what we're going to do is start off by doing a chain, the same amount of chain that we did for our underarm. So I made a chain out of 12, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. Now that we have our chain, we will be blocking off that last chain. Do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through everything that's on our hook. That is a slip stitch. Let's do that one more time. Insert into that next chain, yarn over, pull through everything. And we're going to keep doing this going all the way down until we have just 1 stitch left, and then I'll show you guys how to do an increase of back loop slip stitches. So we have just made our way down to our last chain, and we're going to be doing an increase of 2 into there. And this may be just a little tricky, so we're going to do this together really slowly. We're going to insert into that last chain. We're going to do 1 slip stitch just like normal. And then our second one is going to be, let's not split the yarn, our second one is going to be another regular slip stitch, but it may be just a little bit harder to pull through. So into that same last chain, we're going to insert, yarn over, and then we're going to pull through everything on our hook, but it could get stuck like this. If you guys need to, go ahead and grab that one loop and then bring it over, the one that's closest to the hook, just to make sure that it's pulled all the way through. And then that is our increase. And let's do this one more time because we are at the end of our row, making sure that we are inserting our stitch marker into this end, just like how we did for the front. So we know that this is the top side. And getting started on our next row, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and flip our work. And the only thing that I have to remind you guys is that going into slip stitches like this last stitch could be a little tricky to go into, so just make sure that you guys are keeping count of your rows just to make sure that you're not losing a stitch. But going into that next one, we're going to insert our hook into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and we're going to be doing another one into that same stitch. Since we're at the top, we need to maintain our increase. So go ahead and insert your hook into that same stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull through everything that's on our hook. And that is our increase. And then from here, just put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch going all the way down. And then for this portion, just like the front, we're going to be increasing into every row that we have at the top, and then every third that we have at the bottom. And then just repeat every single thing that we had for the front panel, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can decrease together. Alright, so we are back, and we have just finished up going in with just a little bit over halfway of our back panel. And we have the underarm, shoulder, and then the detail portion, and now we're going to go in with the shoulder portion, and we're going to have to do some decreases just like how we did over here, but these were increases. So I'm just going to show you guys how to do a decrease of 2 back loop slip stitches, and then I'll let you guys go in with the rest on your own with the numbers that you guys have. So I'm now at the point where I need to do my decrease, so all I'm going to do is do a chain up of 1 and flip my work. And to decrease, all we're going to do is insert our hook into that first back loop, yarn over, pull through, and then also into that next back loop. We should have 3 stitches on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that is our decrease. And we're just going to decrease wherever we did our increases on the other side, and then I will meet you guys back once we have this entire back panel all finished up. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up going in with the entirety of our back piece, which is exactly the same as our front. We just went in with back loop slip stitches instead of single crochets, and I have also already done this bottom half as well. So let's get this part started because all 4 of them are going to be exactly the same. So we have just finished up going in with our back panel, and now we're all going to need to go in with this little curve detail that we have right underneath the body portion. And this is going to be the same for all 4 sides. So the 2 sides that we have on the front and on the back, since the front and the back panel should be the same, just with different stitches. So I'm just going to show you guys how to do it in one, and I'll let you guys do it into all the other spots on your own. So what we're going to do is first insert our hook into this bottom corner stitch, insert our yarn onto our hook, and pull through. And from here, we're just going to go all the way up, going towards the body portion, putting 1 single crochet into every stitch, but leaving that last one because we're going to do a decrease of 2 single crochets into that last stitch we have here, and into this first side row that we have into the body portion. So we're back and we have just put 1 single crochet into every stitch that we had going towards the body, except for the last one that we had over here. So we're just going to do a decrease of 2 single crochets. So we're going to insert a hook into the last stitch that we have into this corset detail portion, yarn over, pull through. Also go into this first side row that we have into the body portion. Now this is going to be a little bit different looking when you guys are going in through the front panel or through the back panel, but they're all going to be into the side rows. So we're just going to have to find the top loop, yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook. From here, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then from here, working our way down towards this edge, we're going to have to put 1 single crochet into every side row that we have. And like I said a second ago, there's not going to be any real pretty loops for us to go into. We just want to make sure that we're going into the edge loops that we have. Then I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. So now that we've just finished up going in with our single crochet row along the bottom, now we're going to go in with back loop half double crochets, but we're going to be doing 3 sets of decreases. The first is going to be into the first 2 loops. The next is going to be right where this juncture is, kind of on top where we did the decrease of 2 single crochets. And then the last 2 are going to be into the last 2 stitches that we have into this row. So let's just get this row started off with that, and then from there we're just going to keep repeating until we come down to a point, or depending on you guys, until you guys just want to stop doing this because it does stretch if you guys want to keep it blunt like this. So what we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 2 that counts as a half double crochet and flip our work. From here we're going to prepare for a half double, insert our hook into that first back loop, yarn over, pull through, into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4. And then from here, this next part, we're going to eyeball it a little bit because there's not going to be any real loops for us to go into, but we are just going to meet each other back once we get to about where this juncture is. So we are back and we are just right where this corner is, and we're going to be doing another decrease of 2 back loop half doubles. So go ahead and prepare for a half double. Insert into that back loop, pull through, next back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4, and put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, leaving the last 2 so that we can do another decrease of 2 together. Alrighty, so we got 2 stitches left into this row, so we're going to prepare, go into that second to last loop, yarn over, pull through, into that last loop, yarn over, pull through, making sure we're going in through the back loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And from there, we're just going to keep repeating that until we get down to the size that we want. And just as a really quick tip, this decrease of 2 back loop half doubles and this decrease of 2 back loop half doubles will eventually be right next to each other because this portion is pretty small, but that's completely fine. Go ahead and just keep working that until we get to the spot that we want. And if you guys are working it down to a corner like how mine is, we are all going to end up having just 3 stitches at the very end. And then once we get that, we're going to do a decrease of 3 back loop half doubles to get this point. But I'll meet you guys back once when we have this piece finished up and the back piece as well. Okay, so we are back and we have just finished up going in with our little bottom curve detail along the front and the back panel. And yes, they look like they're 2 completely different sizes, but the back loop slip stitch panel actually stretches quite a bit, so you guys are good to go there. But once we get here, we are now ready to seam up the 2 panels together. The only tip that I have for you guys is making sure that the loops that we left for ourselves for our corset detail that we're going to work into later, we're going to make sure that that is faced the inside. So say for example, this is my back piece, this is my front piece, and this is faced the back panel, and then we're going to seam up the sides. Once we flip it inside out, our seam is going to be along the inside, and these loops will be along the outside. So once we have that, we are now going to work into the bottom corner, working our way up to our underarm corner right here. So getting started on seaming up our sides, what we're going to do is insert our hook into the 2 bottom corners that we have. We're going to take our yarn and insert that onto our hook and pull through. And once we have that, we're going to do a chain up of 1 to secure. And from here, we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into each of these side half double crochets, sandwiching the front and the back panel together, and then also sandwiching this portion that goes all the way up to our underarm portion right here. So let's just do the first few together. Going into the next available loop that we have is going to be this decrease of 3. So what we're going to do is insert our hook into this side loop that we have. It's not going to be a pretty one, we just got to eyeball it. And also making sure that we're going into the same side loop into the back panel. And from here, we're just going to single crochet. And we're going to do this just one more time. It's going to be exactly the same, going all the way down, including going in through these 2 panels as well when it comes to our regular loops. So into this next side half double crochet row, we're going to insert our hook into that next loop, and then into the same loop going into the back panel, and then single crochet. And we're just going to keep doing this, going all the way up until we hit this corner, and then we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut and do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so we're back and we have just finished up seaming up both of our sides, and now we're going to go in with our neck hole. So what we're going to want to do from here is try this on, and then we're going to measure from this corner loop going up and over our shoulder over to this corner loop right here. And then whatever measurement that is, we're going to make a chain of that. So I have already measured mine out, and I need a total of 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 12. So I'm going to insert my hook into this corner, insert my yarn onto my hook, pull through, and start off by making my chain count. And now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is slip stitch it into this corner loop. So we're going to insert our hook into that corner, yarn over, and pull through everything. And then from here, we're going to work our way across the back panel. And going into the back panel, there aren't going to be any real loops for us to go into. We're just going to want to make sure that we're putting 1 single crochet into every other side slip stitch row. And we're actually going to be doing the same for the front as well. So what we're going to do from here is figure out where our next side slip stitch row is. Mine is this divot right here. I'm going to insert my hook into there with a single crochet. And then we're going to be skipping the next one, which is this raised one, going into that next divot with another single crochet. And we're just going to keep doing that, going all the way around. Once we hit this corner, we're going to make the same chain count that we did over here, slip stitch it into this corner loop, and then do the same thing going across the front. And then once we make our way down to the end, we're going to slip stitch into this chain up of 1 space that we made, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we're back and we have just made our way all the way around. The next row that we're going to do for our neck portion is just going to be a row of single crochet. So all we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1 and then put 1 single crochet into every stitch, including going into the chains that we have, making our way all the way around, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain up of 1 space that we just made, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we are back and we are now ready to get started on our mock neck. So from here, what we're going to do is insert our hook into any one of the stitches. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to insert my hook somewhere over here. And we're going to start off by making a chain the size that we want our mock neck to be. So I want mine to be about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 13. Now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a slip stitch. Let's do the next one together. Into that next chain, yarn over, and pull through everything. We're going to keep doing that, going all the way down, and then I'll show you guys how to attach it into the base. And now that we have made our way all the way down our chain, putting slip stitches into each, we are now going to slip stitch into the base together. So what we're going to do is insert our hook into that next available stitch we have into the collar, and we're going to slip stitch into there to close off this row. And in order to work our way up to the next row, we will be slip stitching up the next stitch, flip our work, and now we're going to go in with a bunch of back loop slip stitches. So going into that first back loop, we're going to insert, yarn over, and pull through. And we're going to continue doing back loop slip stitches going all the way down to the end. Once we make our way down to the end, do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then bring it on back down with more back loop slip stitches, and we will be inserting it into the base the same way that we just did. And we're going to keep doing that going all the way around until we don't have any more stitches left, and then I will meet you guys back so that we can seam it all up together. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with the entirety of our mock neck. We don't have any more stitches left to go into, so we are now going to seam it up together. And this is going to be the same way that we've seamed up everything else so far, so we're just going to do the first one together. We're just going to want to make sure that our seams are all faced along the same side, so go ahead and flip it wrong side out for now, and then we can get started. Once we get here, we can insert our hook into the first available stitch we have into the front panel, and then into the next available stitch that we have into the back panel. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is our single crochet seam. Go ahead and keep doing that, going all the way down. Once we don't have any more stitches left, go ahead and do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with our mock neck, and now we're going to go in with our sleeve. Both of the sleeves are going to be done exactly the same, so we're just going to do one of them together. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that our work is flipped right side out. And then I'm going to start off by inserting my hook into one of these stitches that we have that's right next to this side seam. And then we're going to go around the row of single crochet. Working our way up our underarm portion, we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into each of these side rows, and then from there just put 1 single crochet into every stitch going all the way around. And then we're going to slip stitch into this chain up of 1 space that we just made, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we've just made our way all the way around with our first row of single crochets when it comes to our sleeve. The next row is going to be a row of single crochets, half double, and double crochets all going into the back loops. And all we're going to do is just eyeball it. This is going to be different for everyone, but we're just going to go from single crochets to half doubles to doubles going up and over your shoulder, and then going down with half doubles to singles back down. And we're doing it that way so that we can have a nice curve that falls over our shoulder, and then when it becomes horizontal, we're just going to go straight down until we get to the bell sleeve, and then we're going to move on from there. But if you guys have the same numbers as me, I'm going to be going in with 10 back loop singles, 8 back loop half doubles, 10 back loop doubles, and then repeating, so 8 back loop half doubles, and then 10 back loop singles. And all I'm doing is just going up with each of these sections that we have. So up this underarm portion is my singles. So what I'm going to do from here is do a chain up of 1, go into that first back loop that we have, and then I'm going to single crochet. I'm going to keep going until I hit this shoulder portion right here. So I've just gone in with my back loop single crochets, and what we're going to do from here is go in with our back loop half doubles. So we're going to prepare for a half double, go into that next stitch, making sure we're going into the back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. And keep doing however many half doubles we need until we get to the next section, or until we're ready to get started with our back loop doubles. So we have just made our way down with our back loop half double crochets, and now we're going to go in with our back loop double crochets. And so let's just do the first bit together. We're going to prepare for a double, go into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to keep doing back loop half double crochets until I have the same amount of stitches that I actually went in with my single crochets and my half doubles. And for me, I actually made it a little bit easier for myself. I started my double crochets right where the base of my neck was. So I'm going to stop over here, and then from here down I should have the same amount of stitches. So I will be repeating the same amount of half double crochets that I have going down this way, and then also the same amount of single crochets that I have. And I'll slip stitch into that chain of 1 space, and then I'll meet you guys back after this row. So we've just made our way around with our first row where we went from single, half double to doubles, And we're actually going to be repeating this sequence for a little bit. The only difference is that we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 single crochets into the first 2 stitches and into the last 2. So I'll show you guys how to do that really quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is do a chain up of 1, and we will not be flipping our work because we want this subtle line ribbing along the side. So we're going to keep going in the same direction, but we are going to insert our hook into that next available back loop, yarn over, pull through, back loop right after that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that is our decrease. And then from here we're going to go in with the same amount of stitches all the way until we hit where we start doing our half double crochets. So our half double crochets and our double crochet numbers should all be the same. The only thing that's decreasing is our back loop single crochet section, but we're just going to keep going around like that until we have these last 2 stitches down here. And then we're going to be doing another decrease of 2 back loop single crochets into here, slip stitch into that chain up of 1 space, do a chain up of 1, and then repeat that. So the single crochet sections will be shrinking. And we're just going to keep doing that until this armhole that we have fits nice and snug around our arm. And then from there, we're just going to make our way straight down. So I'll meet you guys back when I have just a few of these rows finished up, and then I'll show you guys what to do from there. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with the few decrease rows that we said that we're going to go into, and now this is pretty snug around my arm. And what we're going to do from here is just go in with half doubles to double crochets because we're going to try to even this out until it is completely horizontal. So this next part is also going to be completely up to you guys. You guys get to decide how far up you guys want to go with your half double crochets and doubles and so on and so forth. If you guys are doing the same numbers as me, I ended up having a total of 5 rows, and then from here I'm going to go in, let's look at my notes, with 12 back loop half double crochets, 16 back loop doubles, and then 12 back loop half doubles going back down. But you guys can obviously adjust it to whatever you guys need. But I'm just going to get this part started off with you guys, and then I'll meet you guys back when we are ready to just go in with the length and then our bell. So how we're going to start this section off is start off by doing a chain up of 2 that counts as a half double. We're going to prepare, and we're not going to be doing any more decreases. We're just going to go in with back loop half doubles until we decide to go in with our back loop doubles. And I'm just going to go in with about 13 rows, and that is how many rows I need for this to be completely horizontal. It could be more or less for you guys, but other than that, I will meet you guys back so that we can go in with the length. So we are back, and I now have my 13 rows, and this is just about where it needs to be so that it is nice and horizontal. And then from here, we're actually just going to be putting 1 back loop double crochet into every stitch, so this part's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to keep doing that until this part hits our elbow, and then from there, go ahead and grab your 9mm hook, and then we can start working on the bell. So I'm just going to do the first back loop double crochet with you guys, and then we can move on from there. But what we are going to do, start off by doing a chain up of 3. I already had 1, so there's 1, 2, 3. We're going to prepare for a double crochet, go into that first back loop with a double. And yep, I'm going to keep doing that until this hits my elbow or until I have a total of 25 rows, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we are back, and we have just finished up going in with the sleeve, and this goes all the way down to our elbow. And now we're going to start going in with the bell portion. The only thing that we're going to have to do is make sure that we switch out our hook to our 9mm hook. And once we have that, the first row that we're going to have is just going to be a row of back loop double crochets, and this is just going to help prep because obviously this hook is a decent amount bigger than the 6 that we were using. So I will be taking out my stitch marker, insert, start off by doing a chain up of 3, and then from here just go in putting 1 back loop double crochet into every stitch, and it might be a little tight since we were going in with a 6. That's fine, go ahead and just make it work, and then the rows after this will be completely fine. But I'll meet you guys back once we get to the end of this row. Alright, so we're back, and we have just gone in with our first row of our back loop double crochets with our 9mm hook. We didn't do any increasing, but obviously since this hook is a little bit bigger, it's starting to bell out already. So the next row that we're going to do is going to be a row of increases. And if you guys want this to be more dramatic, you guys can increase more frequently than I do. But for this first row, I'm just going to go in with 4 back loop double crochets and then increase into the 5th. So let's just do that set together. We're going to start off by doing a chain up of 3, and then into the next 4 back loops, go ahead and go in with 1 back loop double crochet each. So I now have my back loop double crochets. I have 4 of them, and into the 5th we're going to go in with an increase. So into that 5th stitch we're going to put 1 back loop double, into that same stitch 2 back loop doubles, just like that. And we're going to keep doing this sequence going all the way around. And this part is actually going to be fairly simple, so I'm going to let you guys go right after this. But right after this row, we're going to be doing 1 row of 1 back loop double crochet into every stitch. And then into the row after that, we're going to be doing another increase. And if you guys are doing the same increases as I am, we're going to be doing increases into the next odd stitch. So as an example, we increased into the 5th over here. The next row is going to be 1 double into every stitch. The row after that is going to be an increase into every 7th. Another row of regular doubles. Row after that, increase into every 9th. And I'm just going to keep going like that until I have a total of 38 rows. Alright, and now that we have just finished going in with the entirety of our bell sleeve, we are actually just going to do the same thing for the sleeve one more time on the other side. And then once we have both of them done, we can now go in with the waistband. So going into the waistband, we will be switching back out to our, that's upside down, 6mm hook. And now we're going to first go in with a row of single crochet along the bottom. Now going into this section, we're actually going to be putting 1 single crochet into one side half double and 2 single crochet into the next side half double when it comes to our side detail right here. And then when it comes to this middle chunk that we have where our corset is, and when it comes to this middle chunk where our corset is going to be, or just where the middle chunk is in the back, we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into each of those side rows as well. So let's just get this started off with each other. I'm going to start off by inserting my hook into any one of the loops. I just like to insert it right where the seam is. Insert my yarn onto my hook and pull through. And then from here, we're going to do a chain up of 1. Now going into this first side half double that we have right here, we're going to go in with 1 single crochet. And then once we have that, we're going to go into this next side half double with 2 single crochet. And then just keep alternating just like that, going all the way down. Once we hit this section, just go ahead and put 1 single crochet into each of our side rows. And we're just going to keep doing that, going all the way around. Once we make our way back around, we're going to slip stitch into that chain up of 1 space that we made, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up going all the way around with our row of single crochets to start off our waistband. And what we're going to do from here is just figure out the length that we want our waistband to be. And I want mine to be about 2.5 inches or 8 centimeters, so I'm going to start off by making a chain of 12. Now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a slip stitch. And from here, we're just going to keep going, putting 1 slip stitch into every chain, going all the way back down towards the base, and I'll meet you guys back so that we can attach it into the base together. And now that we've made our way all the way down towards the base, we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch that we have going into the base. So we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything, and now our first slip stitch row is nice and attached. And going into the next row, we're going to slip stitch up the next available loop to work our way up to the next row, and flip our work. And from here, we're going to go all the way down, putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And we're just going to keep doing that, going all the way down. Once we make our way down to the end, we're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then bring our back loop slip stitches back down, and then connecting into the base the same way that we just did. And we're just going to keep doing that, going all the way around until we don't have any more stitches left, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can seam everything up together. So we are back and we have just finished up going in with the entirety of our waistband, and now we are ready to seam it up. So what we're going to do is first make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. Then we're going to insert our hook into the front panel corner loop and the back panel corner loop, and we're just going to pull through to secure. Once we have that, we're just going to single crochet into the stitches that we have. So insert our hook into the first available loop into the front panel, and then next available loop into the back panel, and then single crochet. And we're going to keep doing this, going all the way down. Once we make our way down to the end, go ahead and do a chain up of 1 and cut. So we have just finished up going all the way around with our waistband. We have seamed it up and we are now ready to get going with our corset portion. So taking a look at our work, we're going to make sure that it's flipped right side out and it's faced up towards us, and we're all going to get started on the right side together. Both the right and the left are going to be pretty similar, but I'm just going to talk you guys through both. But what we're going to do is first turn our work so that it's easier for us to go into these loops that we left for ourselves. And then once when we get here, this part is going to be completely up to you guys. We are going to eyeball 2 rows above this first loop that we left for ourselves. So this is the row that I'm in. I'm going to count up 1, count up 2, and then we're just going to try and find a loop that is directly on top of this first loop that we have. and then mine is right here, so I'm just going to insert my hook into that loop. I'm going to insert my yarn onto my hook, and then I'm going to pull through. Once when I have that, I'm going to prepare for a double crochet right away, and then we're going to insert our hook into that first loop. So we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I know it may seem a little awkward, but it is doable. But once we have this, now we're going to go in with our row of net. So we're going to do our chain up of 1, prepare for double. We're going to be skipping this next loop and then inserting into the next one with a double crochet. Let's do the next one together. Chain 1, prepare, skip the next loop, go into the stitch right after that. And keep doing this going all the way down, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row so that we can seam it into the waistband. And now that we've made our way all the way down, what we're going to do from here is eyeball this part as well, but we are going to find one of the stitches that we have that's right in between the body portion and the waistband. And we're just going to slip stitch it into there just to make sure that it is nice and secure. Just going to find one, yarn over, pull through everything, do a chain up of 1 and cut. And really quickly, working into the other side together, we did flip our work so that's easier for us to go into these loops. And the first thing we're going to do is going to be the same way that we started this one off. We're going to go into this first stitch that we have right here and then try to count up 2 rows. So here's 1, here's 2. Find that loop that's directly on top of that first stitch that we left. Insert our yarn, pull through, and automatically go in for a double crochet into that first loop. Then do our netting going all the way across, and then once we made our way down here, we're going to slip stitch into one of these loops that's right on top of where our last loop is. Do a chain up of 1 and cut. And now that we have just finished up going in with our other side for our corset, next we just need to make a chain that is long enough to weave in and out of everything. And I just made a chain of 140. Alright, so we are back and we are ready to get started on the skirt portion, and the first thing we're going to do is just go along with a row of single crochet along the bottom. So we are going to be inserting our hook into any one of these side rows, insert my yarn onto my hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1, and then from here just put 1 single crochet into each of my side slip stitch rows that I have. Once we make our way all the way around, go ahead and insert your hook into that chain up of 1 space that we just did with a slip stitch, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then we can go in with the skirt. So we have just finished up going all the way around with our first row of single crochet along the bottom of our waistband, and now we're ready to get in with the length of our skirt. We're just going to have to insert some stitch markers into some places really quick. The first stitch markers that we're going to insert are going to be along the side, and this part can be a little tricky to do since we don't have a specific side seam, but what we can do is take a look at the side. Don't mind this, I already have one side done, but we're going to trace this seam that we have right here going all the way down, and then we're going to insert our stitch marker. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Once we have both of these side stitch markers in, just make sure that we have the same amount of stitches along the front as we have along the back. And then once we have these side stitch markers in, we are next going to insert some more stitch markers right along the front, and this part is going to be done the same way that we did the sides. We're going to be tracing our corset portion all the way down, and then we're going to insert our stitch markers into that single crochet stitch that we have that's directly underneath, and then same thing along the other side. And this is going to be where our middle detail is, and then the sides is going to be our stretchy part, which is our back loop half double crochets. But once we have all that figured out, we are going to try this on, and then from where we're at, we're going to measure out the length of the skirt that we want. And I have already figured mine out, so mine's going to be a total of 13 inches or 33 centimeters. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 55. So how we're going to get started with this section is inserting our hook into any one of these front stitch markers. We're just going to make sure that we're working into the front panel together. But from here, we're just going to insert, pull through, and then start off by making a chain of the length that we need. And now that we have the length of our skirt, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a single crochet. And then from here, go ahead and put 1 single crochet into every chain that we have, and then I'll meet you guys back at the base so that we can slip stitch it into there together. And now that we have made our way all the way down with our single crochet row, we are now going to attach it into the base. So how we're going to do that, we're first going to make sure that we're going into the detailed direction of our next stitch marker, not working along the outside. And then we are going to slip stitch into that next available stitch. So this is my next one. We're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything, and now row number 1 is nice and attached. And row number 2, we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through. That works our way up to the next row. Flip our work, and then we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into every stitch that we have. And then we're just going to keep doing this until we hit our next stitch marker, and then I'll meet you guys back once when we get there. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our front portion where we did our single crochets, and now we're going to get started with our back loop half double crochets. And this is all going to be dependent on where you guys are at. If you guys ended down here, then you guys are going to do a chain up of 2, flip your work, and then bring it back down with back loop half double crochets. But once when you guys make your way down here, we are all going to be attaching our work into the base the same way. So I'm going to do that right now. So anytime when we're working our way into the base for this section, we're going to be slip stitching into the base just once to close off that row, just as if we were going in with our single crochet. So this is the last row that I'm going to do, but if you guys are working with your back loop half double crochets back down, then we're still going to just be going into the next stitch. And then in order to work our way up to the next, we're going to slip stitch up the next 2 to work our way up to the next row. Flip our work, and then work our way back down with back loop half double crochets. When we make our way down to the end, do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then bring it back down with more back loop half double crochets. I'll meet you guys back just one more time so that we can connect it into the base together, and then the rest is on you guys. So we have just made our way all the way down with our row of half double crochet, and we are now ready to connect it into the base together just one more time. So as a refresher, all we're going to do is when we're working our way in towards the base, we're going to slip stitch just into that next available stitch to close off this row. And then in order to work our way up to the next, we're going to be slip stitching up 2, and we're just doing this because they're half double crochets. So they're right in between single crochet size and double crochet size. We just want to make sure that we are taking all that into account. But once we have this, we're going to flip our work, do back loop half double crochets going all the way down, and just keep going back and forth like this until we hit our side stitch marker. Alrighty, so we are back, and we have just finished up going in with one side of our skirt portion, and we're about to do the other side, and it's actually going to be done the same exact way that we did this one. We're just going to be inserting our hook into this outside corner, and then we're going to do our back loop half double crochets and then attach it into the base the same way that we did this other side. And then that's basically it for this front panel. So go ahead and get this one finished up, and then I will meet you guys back to talk you guys through the back panel. We have just finished up going in with the other half of our front panel, and we are now just going to talk each other through doing the back panel. So I've just flipped my work over, and we are now looking at the back of our piece. And remember how we went into the top portion? The front portion was regular single crochets and the back was back loop slip stitches. This is for some added stretchiness. We're actually going to do the same thing for the back. So the numbers are still going to be the same. We are going to make sure that the same amount of stitches that we have are going to be our main portion, which in the front it was single crochets, and for the back it's going to be back loop slip stitches. But right after that, same deal, going in with back loop half double crochets all the way out to the end, and same thing on the other side, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut once when we have all of this finished up, and then we'll seam it up together. So going in with our seam, we're just going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out so that all of our seams are along the same side, and we're just going to do the first seam together, and then I'll let you guys do the rest and then do the other side on your own. So from here, we are going to make sure that our hook is in through the first available stitch in through the front panel, and then in through the next available stitch into the back panel, and then all we're going to do from here is just pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and from here go ahead and insert your hook into the first loop into the front panel, also into the next loop into the back panel, and then single crochet, and keep doing this going all the way down, make it down to the end, cut and tie, do the same thing on the other side. We have just finished up seaming up both sides of our skirt portion, and we are actually all done. The last thing that we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. Our ends are woven in, and this is our dress all finished up. Making this dress was a challenge to make, but we pulled through, and I'm really happy with the results. There's a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. And enter this week's pattern giveaway by submitting any questions for a frequently asked questions video we'll be doing soon. Good luck to everyone who enters. Also, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up because it really helps. Be sure to share us on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Links down below. And link to our Etsy page is down there too if you want to buy this piece or any other piece on the channel. Be sure to favorite the shop so you don't miss out on new patterns and exclusive deals. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.